The Renault Duster, if you remember the original, you know exactly how iconic that car is even today. After all, it was India's first ever proper crossover. It was dependable, it was rugged, and of course, it was practical enough. The only drawback it had was that it lacked a bit of finesse compared to its rivals, and over time, Renault India didn't really put any sort of time, effort, and money into developing the Duster as we had new rivals come and go. And eventually, the Duster faded out. But now the Duster is coming back. This is the new 2025 Duster, which is coming to India in January 2026. This car is based on an all-new platform, and that makes a huge difference. This car now uses Renault's CMF-B platform, the same that they use for cars like the Renault Clio and the Nissan Juke. And if you look at it, the new Duster might seem a bit bigger than before, but it actually isn't. It's only 9mm wider and 2mm longer than the old car. Now this version I'm driving here is the top spec full hybrid. It gets a 1.6 litre petrol engine that makes 138 brake horsepower and works with two electric motors. One that drives the wheels and another that acts as a starter generator, feeding a small 1.2 kilowatt hour battery. There's also a 1.2 litre mild hybrid option that makes 128 brake horsepower, and that is most likely the engine option that we are going to get in India. So this platform has been engineered to reduce vibrations and road noise, and you can feel the improvement immediately. I'll get to that later. Now let's take a look inside the Duster. First, the space. The cabin is more spacious than before, both for passengers and luggage, yet the car hasn't grown that much in terms of length. In terms of features, this UK-specific model gives us a good indication of what to expect in the India spec car. The cabin feels sturdy and well-built, but it doesn't feel as polished as some of its rivals, say the Creta or the Seltos. The materials used and the colors used are quite sensible, and everything you touch, it feels solid and well built. You also get ADAS safety feature, a modern touchscreen system, and surround view cameras. However, there is no sunroof here, and the driver's seat is manual. It isn't electrically adjustable. So the essentials are covered, but it's not a feature loaded SUV that one would expect in this segment. On the move, this new car feels very much like the Duster in the sense that it feels solid on the road, it feels planted, and the suspension is really absorbent. So overall, you get a nice and absorbent ride. It gives you that sort of feeling that it can take on bad roads with ease, and it also feels tough, just like the old car. The only difference now is that the powertrain is much smoother and the cabin is quieter this time around. But it's not perfect. There is still a certain amount of vibration and noise that you will get from this engine, especially when it's cold. So the transition from electric mode to ICE mode, it's not as seamless as I would have liked. Like compared to some of its rivals, there is that certain level of harshness that you will experience with this car, and also things like the surround view cameras and the audio system, well, they are okay, they are not great. So all in all, of course, this car has improved big time compared to the old model when it comes to NVH and refinement, but it's still not the best in its segment. Speaking of refinement, what I'm driving here is the full hybrid version, which combines a petrol engine, a 1.6 litre petrol engine at that, with an electric motor and a small battery pack. Now what this setup does is that it will always start this car in electric mode. Like whenever you turn the wheel, you turn on the car, it will start in electric mode until you give it some throttle. That's when the petrol engine kicks in, and like I said, that transition from EV to ICE, it's not as seamless as some of the other strong hybrids, but it's still not too bad. You can hear the engine and there is some vibration that comes in when the engine kicks in, but I guess it's alright. But the benefit of this setup is the instantaneous response that you get from the petrol engine and the electric motor. At low speeds in traffic, it's mainly the electric motor that's giving you all the propulsion. So you have that instant torque the moment you press on the accelerator, and that gives you a sense of this car being a very potent vehicle. Also, at highway speeds, there's always more than enough performance on offer. The Duster doesn't feel strained or it's lacking any sort of power. Again, that's because of the hybrid powertrains. The biggest positive of this drivetrain though is the mileage that you will get. Now, like every other strong hybrid, the Duster will drive on EV mode as much as possible, especially in the city. So you end up getting great mileage. As you can see, I have driven this car for over 200 miles since I reset the trip meter, and I've been averaging 56.3 miles per gallon. Now, if you convert that to kilometers per liter, that's around 20 kmpl or maybe even more than 20 kmpl, which is really impressive for a petrol SUV of this size. So the SUVs of today, well, they have become more polished, they have become more tech heavy, and of course more convenient. Renault knows that and they have updated the Duster to fit these norms. But the recipe remains the same. This car continues to be comfortable, spacious and rugged. Although that's not even the best part. The best part is that the new Duster also has that sort of raw appeal that you can only get with a Duster. And that's important because, let's be honest, this is going to be a make or break for Renault India. They need a big comeback to revive the game in India, and I think if there's any car that can do it for them, it's going to be the Duster.